Customers today interact with brands through a variety of touchpoints, making it very critical for brands to orchestrate and deliver contextual messages across all of these touchpoints. A mammoth 73% of customers say they interact with only personalized communications. How and what are brands doing to make hyper-personalization a reality? To get an answer to this, we have a featured session on achieving hyper-personalization, marketing's North Star. I would like to invite Rajat Kohli, Senior Consultant, Customer Intelligence, SAS India. Welcome, Mr. Kohli. Over to you.
If you're a marketer, a digital expert, or an executive, or in fact, if you belong to any function in an organization, and on the other side, if you're a consumer who has access to internet, you must be aware of hyper-personalization, or you must have experienced hyper-personalization. I'm Rajat Kohli. I'm a marketing technology advisor, and I help brands across the globe, small, medium, large, to set up and execute their hyper-personalization strategies. And in the next 20 minutes, I would be talking you through the common challenges that organizations face in delivering hyper-personalization and the consequent solutions to map these challenges and deliver the right experience to consumers. Before I start, I would want you to remove the hat of your professional hat and don the hat of a consumer. Let's take an example. Think of your favorite OTT platform where you watch a lot of content. Let's say, as an example, you watch a lot of English content, typically thrillers, sometimes comedy movies. But imagine that instead of giving you similar recommendations to the content that you're watching, your favorite OTT platforms give very generic content, perhaps Hindi, perhaps romantic movies, and so on and so forth, right? That's not the kind of experience that you want. Or let's take another example. Think of your favorite e-commerce platform. Let's say, for example, Amazon. You're looking at buying a pair of shoes. You spend a good half an hour, 45 minutes finding the right pair of shoes, but you drop off for an urgent meeting. You come back a day later, and you expect, obviously, Amazon to give you that right shoe right on the homepage, give you similar recommendations on the homepage. You do not want to spend another 15 to 20 minutes finding the right pair of shoe again. You don't want to add the brand filter. You don't want to add the color filter. You don't want to add the size filter. What you expect is that Amazon should give you that same recommendation right on the homepage again, right? In case brands today do not deliver such a personalized experience tailored to your content, you would be frustrated and you would not interact with the brand. So us as consumers, of course, expect hyper-personalization. On the similar side, of course, brands, marketers, and organizations do understand the importance of hyper-personalization and are focusing on it. But of course, there's some set of people who also think hyper-personalization is a myth. So I've got a few studies here from multiple different reports that talk about the power of hyper-personalization. A good 70% of brands who've used advanced personalization see an uptick of almost 200% in the investment that they've made for personalization. Similarly, you would see that almost a third of marketers who've used personalization see at least an increase of 20% on their revenue goals. Going slightly deeper, brands that provide omni-channel customer experiences, personalized omni-channel experiences, also see a good 300% return on investment in their investment for personalization. And finally, of course, we did see how consumers expect personalization. A study says that a good 81% of consumers would not interact with the brand or would stop interacting with the brand if there is no personalization. Clearly, personalization is important, and organizations and brands are yearning towards delivering that right contextual experience to consumers. But well, there's a lot of groundwork that needs to be done. If you look at the personalization maturity curve, it starts off with delivering a single message with some field insertion and goes on to the right towards predictive personalization, right? Of course, in the middle, you have various different steps which talk about, how you could personalize the journey basis behavior of customers. How can this be real time? How can this be omni-channel, and so on and so forth. But what you would see is that most brands fall still in the first quadrant. That is, most organizations that, a lot of studies have been conducted with, or my experience working with organizations in India and across the globe, you would see that most of them lie in the first quadrant, where they're only able to go ahead and personalize journeys based on simple rules that they've set up. A small fraction of them have moved towards the second quadrant, which is being able to personalize basis the behavior that people exhibit on different channels. Of course, though, this is not real time. And finally, you would see that only a very small fraction of the entire gamut of organizations are able to achieve true real-time, omni-channel, and predictive personalization. So, of course, saying that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. On one side, we see that humans are almost colonizing the Mars. In the next few years, we'll be right up in the Mars. On the other side, a seemingly easy task of adhering to customer expectations seems way far up in the North Galaxy, right? Consumers are expecting contextual and personalized experiences. Organizations, marketing teams, marketers are looking at driving and giving this personalized experiences, and they depend on a rocket ship, which is called marketing technology, to deliver this personalized experience. But if you see, there's multiple challenges in giving out hyper-personalization. So what I would talk to you about now is the top challenges that organizations face in delivering hyper-personalization. And of course, then the solutions to these challenges so that you and your organizations can also adopt the right techniques to deliver the hyper-personalized experiences that consumers are demanding. Now, if I talk about challenges, the first challenge is silos, the second challenge is silos, and the third challenge is silos as well. Of course, no, I'm not being cheeky here. I'm talking about three different kinds of silos. The first one being data silos. So majority of organizations that I have worked with and studies that have been conducted say that the biggest challenge that an organization or a marketing team faces in delivering hyper-personalized experiences is really data silos. Then come in orchestration silos, which is when you're interacting with consumers, there's multiple touch points. Customers can interact with an email, there could be a website that they interact with, there could be a push notification that can be sent out. And what happens really is that today, most of this communication happens by siloed platforms, where there's an orchestration silo, different channels have different platforms that they interact with. And finally, we also talk about the organizational barriers, where studies conducted and my experience working with the organizations say that the top two challenges, a good 70-75% of consumers say that the biggest challenge in terms of the organizational sense is that brands do not have a lot of investment in resources for personalization. And the second is really there's very, very limited cross-functional coordination, right? We'll go into details of each of these. Data silos, right? So as an organization, there's multiple different data sets that you would be collecting or organizations today collect, right? There will be data that's collected from the website. There's data that's collected from the mobile app. Similarly, there would be a campaign system where there's a lot of data collected, store data, POS data, transactional data, call center data, multiple different sources. But today, what really happens is that there are thick Chinese walls between these multiple different data sources. Ideally, what a brand needs is to build a customer 360. But today, what's happening is that there are 360 copies of customer data, right? So that's your first challenge, data silos. Now, we did see data silos. On top of it are orchestration silos, right? So there's, like I said, multiple channels that customers can interact with the brand, right? There could be email, SMS, push notifications. There would be interactions with the website and the mobile app. There would be interactions with the advertising side of things where you would see display ads, search ads, social ads, and so on and so forth. And finally, there might be interactions that happen on the call center side of things or via direct marketing. Today, what happens is for each of these different customer touch points, there are different products that most organizations have adopted. Say, for example, for email, SMS, and push, you would have product one that delivers the communication on these channels. For website and app, there would be another product, which is the second product. Similarly, for advertising, there's a third product. For call center, there's a fourth product, right? You have multiple different products engaging with the customer on different channels, creating orchestration silos. And what that really does is gives out inconsistent messages. You might see a buy now message on an email. You might see upgrade a plan on the website. You might see a different advertisement which talks about don't return the product. And finally, if you have a call center executive making a call to you, it might be talking about getting a no contract mobile phone plan, right? So you see, because of the orchestration silos, every time you communicate to the customer across different touch points and channels, you would see a very inconsistent message. Finally, yes, we did have the orchestration and the data silos. The biggest challenge also comes into picture in the form of people and process challenges, right? So today, organizations have multiple different teams that work on interacting with the customer. There might be a digital acquisition team, there might be a marketing team, there might be a cross-sell upsell team, a service team, a data science team, or an IT team as well, right? So what happens though now is that each of these teams interact and reach out to the customer with different messages, trying to gain their own objectives. For example, a customer, perhaps let's take the example that I am interacting with a particular bank or telco, and I want to maybe churn and maybe port my number to a different telecom provider. But what would really happen is that the acquisition team would probably be sending me a message asking me to buy product X. The marketing team would be asking me to buy a product Y. Cross-sell team would be talking to me about upselling a particular product. The service team will be talking about not churning, right? So you're seeing that I'm the same consumer, but because there are different teams in an organization that are reaching out to me without a central layer, the messaging that is coming out to me is very different. It is not relevant and it is not consistent across channels. So what's really happening is that the problems that we saw previously of inconsistent experiences or irrelevant experiences, that's amplified further. Of course, the customers are frustrated because you're bombarding them with content and messages which is not relevant. And finally, of course, this impacts your key metrics such as the cost and the resource allocation that you have for such projects. Inefficiencies are very, very amplified as well because the teams are not working together. And finally, this would hit your conversions. You would see a drop in your revenue. There would be a drop in NPS. Your customer lifetime value will take a hit as well, right? So those were your three challenges: data silos, orchestration silos, and finally the organizational barriers where you have people and process silos as well. Now, talking about these challenges, how do we really solve for these challenges, right? Simple 2 to 3 things that needs to be done. First one being invest in the right technology. So get a single integrated marketing technology stack. Second, invest in the right organizational people and processes. So what's ideally supposed to be done, and brands who adopted a core customer experience team have seen a big, big lift in their personalization project and the ability to increase revenues through the hyper-personalization, right? And finally, map all of this by moving from a campaign-based approach to a journey-based approach and adopt automation across the entire life cycle. Now, understanding the single tech architecture that we're talking about, right? So this is what the problem was, right? We talked about the data silos and the orchestration silos. What's the need of the hour is really bringing in one single tech stack in the middle. So it's a customer data platform which unifies, which gets data from all sources, be it the website, the mobile app, the social data, the campaign systems, real time via APIs or via batch processes in case it demands to be coming in batch, unifies the entire profile, forms a customer 360, and becomes that one single source of truth for every interaction or every detail or every attribute about a customer. Using this customer data platform and the single customer view that's built on top of it, segments can be created and then moved out to different products to go ahead and communicate with the customer. So you create a segment right in the CDP, send the same segment out to product 1 for email SMS push, product 3 for advertising, product 4 for call center, and perhaps product 2 for website and app personalization, right? What this is going to help you with in the end is delivering the right consistent experiences, right? So today we saw that there were siloed experiences given buy now on the email upgrade on the website and 30% off perhaps on the advertising channels. But what would come out by having the single integrated stack is really that consistent messages. You would see across the entire gamut of customer touchpoints, you would see very relevant messages, slightly modified to suit the channel that the customer is interacting with. But in the end, what we're really doing is delivering that experience and the messaging or the offer that consumers really demand. So what you're going to be able to do now is build that 360-degree view for customer. You're going to be able to go ahead and deliver the right, consistent, and relevant experiences across multiple different channels. And of course, that would improve your acquisition and better your average order value and other key metrics that you would be looking at. A point of note here, though, whenever you look at a single tech architecture as well for your marketing technology, also look at if this particular architecture is giving you real-time segment interaction with the multiple products that reach out to the customer, right? So the segmentation that happens in the CDP should be delivered real-time to the various product 1, product 2, product 3, product 4 for the customer touchpoint journey orchestration, right? So this becomes very critical, and I've seen brands typically invest in a single tech stack, but then they probably take a hit back because they're not able to deliver real-time personalization because of this challenge that we're talking about. So I, in fact, happen to work for SAS for a little less than a year now, and they have a very unique integrated platform that helps solve for this challenge as well. So, instead of having separate products for CDP and separate products for journey orchestration, SAS comes up with a unique approach where the CDP itself becomes the orchestration platform as well. So one single product, one single platform, which can then be used to trigger journeys across every single customer touchpoint, right? Which obviously gives you the right experiences. At the same time, of course, it gives the right experiences in a real-time fashion. So, you might have performed an action on the website. The next second you go back to the mobile app or you receive an email, it would be tailored exactly to what you were looking for, right? Finally, the second challenge that we were talking about, which is a solution now, is people and process, where we need to get the right people and process in place to circumvent the challenges with hyper-personalization. So typically, like we said, multiple different teams working in silos across with their own objectives. What's the need of the hour, and organizations who've been able to do this, achieve hyper-personalization, is by really integrating and bringing in one single customer experience team, where perhaps you have resources from each team, the acquisition team, the cross-sell, upsell team, the service team, or the data science team, few resources from each of these teams. They come in from a central customer experience team or a set of tribes with specific business verticals and objectives, and ensuring that the KRA for this particular team is really customer experience, ensuring that they deliver the right personalized journeys for customers is what is then going to help you as well. So reiterating again, invest in people and process, form one single customer experience team who takes care of the journey management and personalization for customers. And that will help you achieve the right hyper personalization that you're looking at. Of course, we did look at this in the beginning, how marketing technology is that rocket ship that would help marketers, organizations deliver personalized and contextual experiences. The fuel, though, to this rocket ship is really the three things that we spoke of. Investment in technology, having one single integrated technology stack, investment in organization, people and processes, having collaboration between different teams by forming a single customer experience team, and finally ensuring there's a lot of automation in terms of data science and in terms of the entire process is delivering the journeys that we're talking about to your end consumers. And if you're able to do this, you would be right on top in the personalization maturity curve. You would be able to ace the personalization maturity curve, and you would be delivering through real-time, predictive and omni-channel personalization, which is what you're looking at achieving. So that was me. Thank you so much, Rajat. We can connect on LinkedIn. I've got a small QR code out here that you can connect and use to speak to me on LinkedIn as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kohli, for sharing very valuable content. Now we'll move to the next session. Ladies and gentlemen, there are many features on this platform to explore, like the expo area where our partners have set up their booths, or the networking lounge to connect with the people, etc. Explore the areas and enjoy the conclave.